Hi, this is Rachel from Ray K Books, and today I'm going to be interviewing Bethany Neal. Hello, Bethany.
Hi, I'm so excited to kind of sort of meet you in person.
It's good to meet you too. I'm very excited for this. So, right now we are going to be promoting your newest book and debut book, I think.
Yep.
Yep, My Last Kiss. And can you please tell everybody what My Last Kiss is about?
Yeah, My Last Kiss is about a 17-year-old girl who wakes up in chapter one kind of dead. And so she's a ghost throughout the book, and she's trying to solve the mystery that's surrounding her own death and also trying to right some wrongs along the way. And kind of the more she learns about the truth of her death, the more she realizes someone she trusted was the cause of her death. So it's a mystery. It's also a love story. Obviously, the title is called My Last Kiss. But her death sort of revolves around her last kiss, I guess is a good way to say it without a spoiler. So
All right, so we follow the main character who is a ghost, so it's kind of paranormal.
a little bit. I mean, obviously, she's a ghost, so that puts it in that realm. But the story is really grounded in reality. The things she goes through, there's really no world building that I had to go through. She's very based in reality. She has kind of flashbacks to remember the night that she died because she doesn't remember the week leading up to her death. So it's basically just us going through a regular teenager's life. I mean, she just happens to be dead, which is kind of a fun hook to play with as a writer. That was really fun to sort of decide what would that look like if, what would a ghost look like and how would she interact with the living world. So that was fun to play with writing wise, but I don't know. My editor does too. We both kind of consider it more of a contemporary because, there's really no mythology behind it. It's just sort of something that it's kind of like how If I Stay, maybe that happens. We don't know. So it's a little bit more reality based. It sort of straddles both genres, I guess.
So, is there a message in your novel that you want readers to grasp?
Yeah, I mean, the takeaway for me Cassidy's story is very bittersweet because she gets this second chance to try to right her wrongs, and we don't get that in life. So lots of times we don't, especially if it's the end of our life. So the message for me is sort of to realize, even the smallest decision that you make, everything you do has a consequence, and whether or not you realize it at the time, there's sort of a trickle effect to your actions. So that's sort of the message that I really wanted to drive home was, Cassidy was sort of just going about her life, not realizing that, doing a couple little white lies here and there and other things ultimately ended up in her death. So it's, sort of that message of just, be mindful of what you do and be considerate to other people's feelings because you never know who's going to be a little off kilter in your life and try to get some revenge on you. So
Very nice. And so when you're talking, I'm looking at your background and
yeah,
it's full of things.
yeah.
So the first thing that catches my eye is the red, "We are so proud of you." So can you give us a little
Yeah.
story about that?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I'm in a very crowded corner of my office. Yeah, my sort of day job is I work at an elementary school. It's actually a K through 8, but I work with the little kids most often. And when I sold my book, they were so excited, even though they couldn't read it. They were really excited for me, so they made me cards and things, and that was sort of the best one I got from them. There's also some stuff behind there. I've got like name tags from random stuff, and there's like a little page behind me too where I don't know if you can see it, the little black and white page. One of the girls that I worked with, she just wanted to be a writer so bad, and when she asked me about being a writer, she drew that little picture for me and wrote a little story about what she was going to do when she was an author. So that's sort of the fun part about my day job. I mean, ordinarily I sort of begrudgingly go because it keeps me away from writing, but those are sort of the high points of it. So
So are you thinking of maybe transitioning into a full-time writer, or do you just want to do it on the side?
I would absolutely love to full-time write, and over the summer I do get that luxury. The transition back into school has been really rough this year, especially because I got to go around and do book signings and things like that this summer, which I hadn't been able to do in the past. So I would love to. It's just a matter of, selling that next book and consistently being able to do that. So unfortunately, writing a book takes a long time and selling it takes even longer sometimes. So it's a long process, but that's definitely my end game for sure. I would love to just wake up at 10 and work in my pajamas. That would be wonderful.
Good luck. I
Yeah.
wish you the best of luck
Thanks.
because it does sound pretty awesome. So, okay, when thinking of like how did you think of this plot? And can you tell us the process of writing it?
Yeah. Um, so this book started out, I don't know if you know of this show. It's called Degrassi. Have you heard of that?
Yes, I've heard
Yeah.
of that.
So there was an old plot line on Degrassi a while back when they introduced the character of Eli, and he had sort of this backstory of he had kind of accidentally killed his girlfriend, and he was very messed up about that. So the story sort of started out from a similar idea of that, and Cassidy actually wasn't the one who was dead. I had her boyfriend Ethan was the one that was dead, and she was sort of dealing with, kind of causing his death. But she was very mopey and sort of too sad to carry a novel on her own that way. So sort of ironically, I had to kill her to make her more enjoyable to be around. So I got the sort of idea to change it from, I was driving home one Thanksgiving to see my parents, and I was listening to the Metric CD called Fantasies, and they have a song called Help I'm Alive. And I've heard that song like a million times, so I'm not sure why it clicked that specific time, but I just sort of was fascinated by this idea of, being alive as a problem and something that you would need help to solve it. So I was on the highway, so it's horribly unsafe, but I sort of grabbed a napkin and started jotting down chapter 1, and then I was really antisocial all of Thanksgiving and just writing, and that really sort of was the moment where it clicked. And writing this book was it was pretty fun. It was one of those, not everything you write kind of takes hold of you the way that this one did. And I was able to, I generally don't outline. It would be great if I did. I'm sure maybe life would be more sane, but I sort of just write as it comes to me. And so it was kind of fun with Cassidy because I was sort of solving the mystery along with her. And so the first draft process was really sort of just like learning things as we went. And then the aftermath of the revisions was a little harder because I had all these flashbacks and she remembers the bits and pieces out of order. So that was really fun. And it's fun to read it that way, but writing it and making sure everything lines up and, everything is consistent was pretty hard. So that was the toughest part of writing it, was going back and making sure the flashbacks all coordinated. But it was a really great book to write. I miss the characters a lot, and I have a lot of readers ask me if there's going to be like a sequel from another character's point of view and things like that. And that would be fun, but I'm in the midst of writing something else right now, so it would have to wait.
So you said that you don't outline, you just write, and it just comes out.
Mm-hmm.
There are some authors that say that the characters write themselves. They don't do anything, it just flies out, they write them. Does that ring true to you as well?
Sometimes. It's a combination of both for me. Initially, when I first sit down, if I do any outlining before I start writing, I sort of like the creativity gets stinted, so it's kind of hard for me. So I'll sit down and write. Usually I'll write the first like 60 or 80 pages with no idea in mind of an ending or really much of anything. But then once I get to that point, I need to start thinking, where's this going? So I kind of do a really rough outline, kind of with just bullet points of what I want to happen, coming up. So I sort of start out, they call it a pantser. I start writing by the seat of my pants, and then it combines into a little bit of outlining here and there. So, but I mostly sort of only start outlining when I kind of get to the point where I'm like, oh crap, I don't know what to do now. So outlining is sort of my way to get through that. But for them, some characters do take you over. Like in My Last Kiss, Caleb definitely just sort of writes his own chapters. He was a delight. Same thing with Madison. Madison was really easy to write. But some of the other characters, I mean, it's usually the characters that, like, the boyfriends are always very hard for me to write. I'm not exactly sure why, but some characters talk for me and some people don't. But the main character is usually, I don't know, I don't have that. I know a lot of people say that, and there are moments, I think, in everything you write where you kind of get taken over, but I don't know if it's true for the whole book while you're writing. I mean, that's impossible. You're doing it for months.
Right.
But it would be fun if that was the way it went for, 8 months straight, but it doesn't always happen that way.
Yeah, no, but you bring up a good point. Back there, you say, well, are you going to write a sequel? So what's coming up next for you?
I have one book out on submission right now, so I'm just waiting to hear back from that. And that one's sort of creepy, and it's kind of more of a scary novel. I grew up reading R.L. Stine. I loved the Fear Street series, so this is a little bit of an homage to that. And then I'm working on yet another one. It's more of a contemporary. It is loosely revolves around a school shooting, so it's a little bit more of a intense issue. But they're all, I mean, I always have kind of a dark side in everything I write. I kind of can't get away from it. So
yeah. So what authors influence you? So R.L. Stine influences you.
Yeah.
Who else in your writing?
I mean, it sounds kind of generic, but any good writing. I mean, I'm a fan of, I'm not a big plot person. I just love character development. So, I mean, I like series and fantasies and things like that, but they're usually not my big time favorites.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, I love Shirley Jackson, which is an older author that not many people know about, but she's great at making a completely ordinary situation just so creepy, and her characters are always so messed up. So I love her. I also love Megan Abbott. Her style of writing is amazing. I actually got to meet her this summer, and she was just as cool in person.
Oh, good.
Yeah, she was doing a signing in town for The Fever, and we just had like kind of a great discussion. There just happened to be a lot of writers in the audience, so we got talking about some good stuff. So, and in YA, I love Lauren Oliver. I think she's a beautiful writer. I've also met her too. She's so generous. Let's see, who else? I love Lori Halls Anderson. She's a staple. But really, I'm sort of, I don't know, I'm not like a person who follows certain authors per se. I definitely follow certain topics. Like if I wheeled around the camera, you would see I have a whole shelf of like dead girl books. Anything with like a dead girl involved, I'm buying it. I don't even have to like read the description. I'll just buy it. And like scary stuff, things like that. So really anything of that genre, I eat it right up.
So what is a genre that you will never write in, and what's a genre that you'd like to write in next?
I don't think I would ever be able to do sci-fi. I'm not, I'm a big fan of taking something extraordinary and sticking it in the ordinary world. Kind of, Cassie's a ghost. I love that sort of possibility that could be real. I have a hard time connecting with stories where you have to sort of step outside of our reality. It's just not as fun for me. I kind of like to imagine that these weird things exist in our land, So sci-fi is probably my no-go. I always joke all the time that I would love to write like straight romance, like like one of those novels where it's like a bare man's chest on the cover, I always joke about that. I don't know if I'll ever get around to that, but if I were ever to flip-flop genres, it would probably be.
You can always do a new adult, which is
very true.
Kind of like a step up from YA, so you're kind of going up a little bit.
Yeah, I could sort of gradually take some steps towards the full-blown romance. Yeah, the new adult books are pretty saucy.
They are. They're sex books
for
people who are 19 to like 29.
Yeah, which is cool because, I mean, that sort of was, a demographic that was being ignored for a little while. So it's nice that they have their own sort of thing. Although they are all very, like, sexy.
Yeah, I think like, I don't know a new adult that doesn't have sex in it.
So, yeah, I don't either. I mean, I pretty much think it's like the romance novels on like training wheels or something. It's just getting you
Exactly.
ready to to step up to the real deal.
Exactly. Yeah, that's how I think. It's romance for college students.
Yep.
That's basically it. So, anyway, now we're going to play a game called
Okay.
Would You Rather.
Okay.
So, for those of you who don't know what Would You Rather is, I would ask Bethany here, would you rather eat apples or oranges for the rest of your life? And then she'll have to say either apples or oranges. Except this is literature edition.
Oh.
So, ooh.
Now I'm
So,
excited.
yeah, and oh, I totally forgot to ask you pre-questions. Before I interview authors, I always ask them if they read certain books. Okay, so if you haven't read these books,
Okay.
just say so, or seen the movies. Okay, you can
Okay.
either see the book or read the book. So just let me know. I'm
Got
sorry in advance.
it.
um, would you rather live in the world of Hunger Games or Divergent?
Definitely Divergent.
Would you rather fight next to Hermione from Harry Potter, Katniss from the Hunger Games, or Tris from Divergent?
Definitely Hermione. She's magic. Are you kidding? There's no contest. Hermione, for sure.
Would you rather read a book that is written poorly but has an excellent story, or read one with weak content but is written well?
I think one with weak content that's written well.
Who would you rather have as a child, Harry Potter or Hermione Granger?
Hmm. I feel like Harry would probably listen more, but I would be more proud to have Hermione. I think she's sort of a firecracker, and I'm a little bit like that too. So I'm gonna pick Hermione. I feel like I'm like being her biggest fan right now, but that's okay.
It's okay. Hermione is a really awesome
She
character.
really
So,
is.
yeah. All right. So, would you rather write novels where all the characters are women or all men for the rest of your writing career?
Definitely women. I sort of already do that. I feel bad for the boys, but it's just I love girls. I'm biased.
Would you rather only write your books in trilogies or standalones for the rest of your writing career?
Oh, that's a really tough one. I'm gonna say standalone.
Would you rather write a book without using conjunctions or have every sentence of your book begin with one?
Oh, I'm gonna have to go with begin with one. It would be way too hard to figure out how to not do it.
Would you rather write a plot twist you hated or write a character you hated?
Hmm. Probably character. I could get into hating the character.
Would you rather a super successful movie be made from one of your books or a long-lasting television series?
Oh, that's tough. Uh, I think it would
Oh,
be amazing. Oh my God, that's the worst question because I'm a huge TV and like movie person. That's like how I got interested in writing was because I wanted to write for TV. Um, I'm gonna say movie only because I know from so much experience that they start to change things in TV shows and I might go a little nuts if they change too much. So, plus I could walk a red carpet if there was a movie. So,
that's very true. Those red carpets look like a lot of fun.
I know I'm like dying, like my whole life, literally my whole life, I've wanted to go on a red carpet. So let's try to make that happen.
Good luck. Try to make that happen. Okay. And when you create more books, more chances, you know?
Exactly. Yes.
So the last question is, would you rather critics rip your book apart publicly or never talk about it at all?
I'm sort of a believer of there no press is bad press, so I would say rip it apart. I don't know though. It's really hard to come up from under that. But if no one's talking about your book, no one's buying your book, I don't know. I'll that's a terrible question. I changed my answer though. I don't want them to tear apart. No tearing apart. Okay, I'm going with
All
that.
right. Okay, that's fine. I'm just saying critics. So people on Goodreads,
Oh,
they
that's
can
true.
they can give you good reviews, but I'm saying the top critics.
Yeah, I
Does
don't
that
want
make a
them to tear me
difference?
apart. You can't come out
Okay.
from under that. I don't want that.
All right, and that concludes our Would You Rather game. Yay!
Yay!
Congratulations, you aced it. So now I want to kind of talk about it's off of the 10th question. And that is, do you read bad reviews of your book?
Yikes. I don't read any reviews unless my editor sends them to me. And even then, it takes me like 3 days to get around to doing it. I don't know. I have this feeling like even if they're good, it'll still like play with my mind. So I don't know. It's kind of once you start thinking about what the critics think, it becomes hard for me anyways to write. So I've only read, let's see, 3, maybe 4 reviews of my book, and they were just the ones that my editor sent me. So I don't know. I mean, people always think I'm lying when I say that, but I don't read the reviews unless they're thrown in front of me and I'm forced to do it. So.
And so if you could have been the original author of any book, what would it have been and why?
Oh, that's a good one. Oh, this is such a good question. Well, if I was going off like admiring a book, I would have loved to write The Virgin Suicides. God, I was like obsessed with that book forever, and then they made that movie, and I was obsessed with the movie. I just love that book, and it takes place in Michigan, which is where I'm from, and the author's from Michigan too. So I would have loved to have written that book. Although when I was reading Wuthering Heights for the first time, I kept thinking, I want to change this. I want to change that. So I feel like I could really get in and like revise the heck out of Wuthering Heights and make that my own. So probably between those two, I would have picked those.
And which famous person, actually, no, let's change this. Which author, living or dead, would you like to meet and why?
Ooh. Well, I'm a huge Twilight fan. I would love to meet Stephenie Meyer. I don't know. I mean, I think she's probably over it though. I mean, I would have loved to meet her like way back when the books came out and, she wasn't so overdone with it. Another good one would be to meet, oh, I don't know. I was going to say R.L. Stine, but I already mentioned him. I feel like I'm just repeating people, but yeah, I think R.L. Stine would be a cool one to meet. I mean, he's still cranking out books. I can't believe that. Like, working at the school, the kids are reading the books that I read when I was their age, and they're still popular and they're still in print. I mean, I would just love to pick his brain just about industry stuff. How do you keep a career going for that long? And I don't know. He seems from, I've heard of a couple of people that have met him too at like BEA and stuff, and they say that he's just a really nice guy too. So I think I would meet him.
Awesome. So we have a Twitter question.
Okay.
And her name's Callie, and she says, how do you effectively organize your thoughts when writing?
Not very well. No, it's not true. I have notebooks for, usually it ends up being like 2 books in 1 notebook, but I keep notebooks that I can jot down ideas when I'm not near my computer to write. I also, I keep it by my bed as well, so I can write down stuff when I'm supposed to be sleeping, but not. But as far as like keeping track of stuff as I'm going, I keep a file it's sort of like just like a chapter outline, and it just has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and I just sort of do little like one line of what happened in that chapter, and that way I can kind of keep track of who's doing what where and what the main character needs to be going toward in the next chapter and things like that. So I have sort of a separate document that I keep track of, just like little bullet points of what's going on. I also have, and you can probably see behind me, I've got little note cards and post-its and things. I make sort of a board of scenes, and the post-its are the scenes. The note cards are the different acts of the book. But I sort of, I don't know, the book that's out on sub right now, I did that as I was writing because the plot was sort of pretty intricate, so I kind of had to keep track of stuff more so than I usually do. But for that, I just put that up today so I could sort of get my plot points up on the wall. But usually when I do my first round of revision, I go through and I put up all the Post-its and stuff to figure out where stuff is and whether or not it makes sense and if it needs to move and things like that. But I'm a pretty visual person. I don't know. I know like I've chatted with Jessica Brody about, she has like Scrivener and all these online, programs where she just sort of organizes everything on her computer, and she's got like 4 monitors and she's so organized. And I don't know, I have to be able to touch the note card. I can't necessarily just put it on my computer. So, yeah, it's a lot of note cards. That's usually how I organize my thoughts.
That was a very long answer.
I know, sorry.
It's okay.
I'm a writer. There are no short answers to anything.
It's okay. No, it's good. So the next 2 questions are team questions.
Okay.
And the first one is, are you team Edward or Jacob?
Oh, Edward, definitely.
Number 2.
Good question.
Are you team Gail or Peta?
Gail.
And actually, I don't know if you've read this one or not, so I'm just going to throw this one out there.
Okay.
Are you team Simon or Jace?
Is
For
that
City of Bones?
City of Bones? Yeah, I've only read the first book, so I'm Jace because I've only read the first book, so I don't know.
And so all these movies, or all of these books became movies.
Yeah.
So my question to you is, what's your favorite book turned movie of all time?
Actually, The Hunger Games. And like everyone like wants to hit me over the head with the book when I say this, but I wasn't the biggest fan of The Hunger Games. I liked it, but I wasn't fanatical the way that a lot of people are. And I thought the movies were better than the books. I mean, and I don't feel too bad saying that because the author of the books wrote the screenplay. So I think that's a big reason why that turned out so well. Like Perks of Being a Wallflower, for instance, the author also wrote and directed that, and that turned out beautifully. So I think there's sort of this disconnect when if the author isn't able to be involved in the screenplay. But yeah, I mean, I fell in love. I mean, I finally got why everyone was in love with The Hunger Games once I saw the movies, which is kind of a terrible thing to say as an author. But I think Suzanne Collins, I think her wheelhouse is a visual media, and she just knocked it out of the park with the movies. So.
Yeah, actually, I understand what you're saying about the fanatic. I just read Anna and the French Kiss, and everybody was fanatic, and I read it, and I'm like, it was a good book. Like,
yeah, well,
and everyone's like, they're all just like so happy about it. And you have to read this, you have to, and you're just like, it was a good book. Like,
I do love that book, but I stumbled upon that book without knowing anything about it. I just love France, so I picked it up, and I think that's the trouble. Like when you hear so much about a book, I mean, it can never live up to this hype. So, I mean, maybe like Dare Me by Megan Abbott is probably the only book I've read that lived up to the hype. Like that book was awesome. Like it deserved everything it got. And I hope the movie's good too. But yeah, it's so hard to live up to this hype. And also I think a lot of times the people who are doing the reviewing aren't necessarily the demographic of the book. I don't know. It's sort of this gray area of who's getting the information out there to say a book is a certain way and whether or not the readers agree. So
right. When you go into a book without any expectation, it's so much better.
It is
so much better.
And it's always better too when like you've just stumbled upon it, like you weren't even going to buy a book that day and you found this book. And I mean, it's always better that way. I have people give me books as gifts that I've told them I wanted to read, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, wait a month, I don't want to read that right now. So it's sort of that discovery process, which is what I love about books. I mean, I love movies and TV, but you don't really stumble upon things very often in that genre. Sometimes you do with movies, but books are great because you can sort of just like browse. It's like the old video store mentality, that's now gone, which is so sad. But stumbling upon like a book, it's like you found this like secret that nobody else knows about.
And so there is, Callie says, I feel that way about Gone Girl. It was an okay book, but I don't get the hype.
Yeah.
The end left me empty. Yep.
Yeah, I've had like entire Gone Girl conversations with people. And I mean, it was really funny because like a friend of mine had it with her like in her purse, and I sort of like whispered to her like, "Are you liking that?" And she just looked at me. She was like, "I don't know, I'm halfway through," and we kind of like had the same look. And I mean, it's I don't know. I feel like I'm just so used to my understand like the way I rationalize it is I'm just so used to YA, and it's paced so much differently than sort of grown-up literature. So I don't know. For me, it was a pacing thing. I definitely love the story, and I'm beyond crazy excited about the movie. I think it looks awesome, and I think Ben Affleck is gonna be like the perfect Nick. He's so just like like he can do that just vanilla guy like without any affectation at all. I think he's gonna be great. But yeah, I don't know. I think it's sort of, I mean, it sold a trillion copies, but I think that's a perfect example of there's no way it could live up to the hype.
Exactly. Don't even get me started about 50 Shades of Grey. Please, please
I
don't.
I
So,
have not read 50 Shades of Grey. I picked it up in the bookstore and just opened to a random passage one day and like started reading it out loud to a friend like as a funny thing, and it was so dirty that I like couldn't even say it out loud. I was like, I don't even know what's happening in this book.
yeah, it gets pretty inappropriate.
Yeah. Oh, I
Uh,
got a full synopsis from more than one friend about exactly what happens throughout the whole thing. A friend of mine actually, she she's also a twihard, and she sort of dissected 50 Shades and like showed how it was like plotted exactly the same way as Twilight, which is sort of
really?
hilarious. Yeah, because it started out as Twilight fan fiction.
Yeah.
So as she was reading it, she sort of started like noticing things that were similar, and she like wrote it out and how like the different connectors and stuff. She's got this like whole conspiracy theory. It's pretty great. I told her she should send it to Entertainment Weekly.
I want to see it. Is it online? I kind of want to read
No, she
this.
just like wrote it down on like a piece of paper. I'll see if I can get it for her and see if she'll let me put it on the blog.
Yeah, no, let me know because that's I want to
Okay.
know the differences. So,
Yeah, I mean
yeah.
they're pretty striking. Like I won't go through them, but I mean it's pretty. I mean I can understand now why like I don't know. It's just like a how people went so crazy for it. Like maybe they were just already comfortable with the story. I don't know.
Right. All
Yeah.
right. So, we are overtime.
Okay.
So, I
Okay.
have two more things. One, since you have the means right now, is there anything you'd like to say to your fans?
Oh, I love you. I love you. I love you a million times over. Oh my gosh, I joke all the time that I want to invite my fans over for a sleepover so we can like talk about book boyfriends, but it's true. Like if I could organize that, I would invite all of you over and make you popcorn. I the best thing about this whole thing has been, I mean, I love my family and my friends have been really supportive and, coming to events and stuff, but meeting people that don't even know me and are so excited about the book and asking me what else I'm going to write, and it's so rewarding, especially like the younger readers. They're so excited and they want to talk about the characters like they're real people just like I do. And I just love you guys so much, and I'm so happy that you're so excited about reading. Yay,
Yay! And
readers.
so and again, we don't know when your next book is coming out,
Yeah,
but you'll keep us posted, right?
yeah, definitely. You'll
Okay,
probably
good.
like feel the world shake when I scream with joy, so don't worry, you'll be notified one way or another.
Okay, good. Yeah, keep us updated. And I think that's it. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh, I almost forgot the best part.
Oh,
The giveaway.
yeah.
Oh my gosh, that would have been horrible. Okay, so before we go, Bethany here is going to give away her debut book, the one we've been talking about, My Last Kiss. This is going to be international, and it ends next Friday, which is October 3rd. And in order to win, you have to do a few things. One, this live chat is going to become a YouTube video. And when it becomes a YouTube video, I'd like you to comment on that video. You can comment whatever you want, but you have to put a way to contact you because YouTube messages don't work. And I'm so done trying to message people and remind them. So if you have an email or if you have a Twitter account or something where I can just contact you for a winning, if you win, let me know. Number two, this is optional because not everybody has Twitter. Follow Bethany on Twitter. And if you follow her,
Yay!
if you follow her, then please leave your username in the comments so I can verify the entry. And make sure you say that you follow Bethany so I know it's not just a way to contact you. And blah, blah, blah. Is that it? I think that's it. Yes, that's it. And thank you again, Bethany, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.
All right, thanks for chatting.